definitely get the feeling that the briefings are less useful than back in Fusion. Bit of a shame, since this game does a better job of making the briefings interesting. But I suppose that isn't too difficult to pull off when one game has absolutely no voice acting, and the other game has at least a little plus benefits. So many paths, and so few of them are ones we can get through right now. Just because this game isn't as outright linear as Fusion doesn't mean it's as relatively open as Super Metroid. But at least we've got the sense things are going to open up quite a bit once we don't have to worry about melting in so many damn rooms. So, again, here's hoping for the Viera suit soon. At least I didn't manage to get caught by the damn thing. Even if I took some damage I probably didn't need to there. Again, the map rooms in this game just don't seem to have as much of an impact as the map rooms in all, except for Fusion. Not sure why the map devices have to double as save devices here. Hell, we have 3 separate types of save devices in this game. While I appreciate how spaced out, especially considering how often I've been getting killed, it doesn't change the fact that it seems a bit strange to have that many devices for the same task. Hell, why give us 2 devices that essentially have the same function as regular save rooms and also double as something else? Am I just old-fashioned for thinking that each device in the game should only have one function? I mean, we've already got some devices that don't ever work again after we activate them around here. So a map device that worked like that would not feel out of place. Kind of impressed I managed to avoid sliding right into the fire there. Right, so this hallway is literally surrounded by rooms too warm for us to deal with. Again, really hoping we're getting the Viera suit soon. Okay, doesn't look like those jets are gonna die down on their own here. This game is really trying to make me like that sliding thing, isn't it? Well, that looks like a path we can take, assuming I remember where that room is from here. So it also cooled some rooms down for us. They've certainly altered our environments a decent amount around here. Right, so now getting to that energy tank from over here. Though maybe we can get to the one immediately below us, assuming of course I don't get killed by the robot enough on the way over there that I just forget to bother with that item. Okay, so there's no convenient path to that item in here, at the very least. Well, at least it doesn't look like I'm gonna get lost finding the room where that machinery started moving. Yeesh! It's annoying enough to pull off a counter, but doing it while hanging on a wall is going to take even more adjustments to my skull here. Some of these things in the game outright require me to rewire my brain. And I'm actually kind of loving that. Again, while I'm not a fan of the Emmys, and I'm feeling pretty tired considering how early in the game we are, I am most definitely having fun. This is just a very rough ride to get through, especially for the early game. You've gotta be kidding me. Doesn't look like activating that machine is gonna help in this particular room as far as I can tell right now. So I'm really starting to get the feeling that I'm having a map reading problem in this game. And that problem is very likely my fault, because it certainly looks like the maps give more detail than they ever did in the older games. At the very least, I should have figured out a lot sooner that there's no way I'm getting through this thing from this side. And good God, after going through 4 other 2D Metroids, you'd think I'd have an easier time figuring out where to go next. But then, while each game grows and takes ideas from earlier installments, each one still has its own unique feel to it. And that feel can translate to making it harder to know what's a legitimate path forward and what's just a waste of time to even try at that particular point. Especially when you take into account hidden paths and how each game hides them differently. Right, guess it was too much to hope I could kill it before it attacked. Definitely not the kind of environment I can afford to just stumble around and hope to find a way to make progress in. Yeah, probably one of the biggest reasons I don't like the Emmys. I'm not good at finding my way forward even without the added tension. Yeah, it's fun to eventually figure things out, or to just stumble around and eventually decide to use a guide if it takes too long to make progress. But even with all that practice I've had over the years, it just keeps being an issue for me. And I swear, sometimes it's like when I have the controller in my hands, I seem to get stubborn to a point that I want the ability to go back to the past and give myself a slap for trying something I already know isn't gonna work because I've tried it before. Seriously, we're not getting this door open with this equipment. And even if we could, it wouldn't do us any good because the damn room is too hot for our armor to handle right now. And there is no point in me returning to this area because if there was a way to drop down, it probably requires bombs, which we still don't have, and there's nothing to indicate when we will. Well, I suppose getting to that question mark might let us make progress, but the problem is actually getting over there. Because with the way I've been misreading the maps around here, I have the distinct feeling I somehow managed to miss something when the maps here give us more details to work with than the ones in the older games. Ugh. It's a good thing that I generally remember 3-dimensional environments better than 2-dimensional ones. Because when we get to the Metroid Prime games, I'm pretty sure the 3-dimensional maps will be a bit more of a pain to actually read. Definitely should have checked this area sooner, but better to figure out the obvious slowly than never, right? Okay, I suppose that's one way to get to an energy tank. A way that means I have to go back for a little bit. Again, it's funny how I've actually been enjoying dealing with the minor enemies in this game. Has anyone else been praising the fact that even the respawning bastards that keep popping up feel pretty fun to deal with in this one. Even when you know a quick way to take them down, it feels pretty well earned, whereas outside of some special cases, their current enemies were rather forgettable in the previous games. Oh, here's a pirate that's very similar to all the others you faced, but only vulnerable to missiles to the back, and the only warning is the different color scheme. Or that odd moment in the 3DS game where I love fighting the Metroids with the exception of the Queen, and I loved fighting Ridley, but most other enemies in that game I forgot even exist, and dear God, the Queen was just not a fun encounter no matter how I looked at it. Just how many more times in this game are we gonna have to mess around with thermal doors? Definitely appreciate that the regular enemies are more forgiving of being off with the counter timing than the robots. That counter was definitely a bit early, even to my eyes. Just how many times in this game am I gonna be wishing we had bombs at this point? I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be complaining so much if it wasn't for the combined facts that every other Metroid gives us bombs sooner, and I'm far too used to using bombs to check around for various hidden paths. Now that was some damn good timing there. Guess we're going to a new area now. Bit odd, I thought we'd have to destroy the green robot before we got to someplace fresh. But it's not like I see any other way we can make progress around here with what we currently have. Really sure why I don't like how Samus jogs to the tram. Maybe I'm just far too used to seeing her either constantly sprinting or occasionally walking for something in between to really feel right. Again, a bit of a long loading screen, but maybe I'm just far too used to Metroid games not needing a loading screen. We'll see how that attitude changes once we get to the 3D part of the franchise. Kind of appreciate that there are some bugs that are outright harmless to us around here. The more random critters there are in a game, the more alive things actually feel. Right, so we need speed boosters to go up here. I'm sorry, but I was really hoping that the speed booster just wasn't going to be a thing in this game at all. Wait, so we can counter turrets in this game? Do we need to be directly next to them in order to counter them, or can we do it from a distance? Please don't tell me we came to a new area just to be completely blocked off at this point. I swear, I hope I can find my way through the Prime games without getting stalled out quite so often. Especially since those games are a good deal longer overall. It's annoying enough that I'm getting stalled out the way I have been in these games that last less than 12 hours if you have a decent idea of what you're doing. Right, guess we're heading back to Kataris. Excuse me for fast-forwarding until it looks like I'm actually making progress again, instead of just going from one dead end to another, over and over. Not sure if my lack of patience in this playthrough is because this is a much more challenging game in a lot of ways, or if it's because it is indeed the final 2D Metroid I've got to do at this particular point. Again, it doesn't feel anywhere near this annoying when I've got the controller in my hands. I picked the game up just recently, really, and started it over while working on the commentary, and I have been having a good deal of fun with it again, even if I still absolutely hate dealing with the Emmys. This is indeed how you continue a long-running series, respecting the past while at the same time experimenting and building towards the future. I really wish other franchises would do this sort of thing, instead of either staying stagnant for a long time, or removing bits and pieces for various reasons. A little hard to make progress when I keep going over to the same places over and over again, but then it's also difficult to make progress when you don't know if it's because you somehow missed something in a previous room, or if something you need to move onwards with is just hidden somewhere and you need to grab it. Right. Guess I'm going on to the tram again. Thank the magic of fast-forwarding for making my own stupidity a bit less painful for me to go through. Still, I'm humble enough to let a good amount of my stupidity still end up on screen. Hope that helps keep things entertaining. Sure why I tried to climb before dealing with this guy. Okay. Why the hell didn't I just try shooting those spots in the first time here? I mean, it's not exactly a new concept for me to blast at various bits of ground to see what breaks. Still, at least the problem here was just on me and not the game itself. I just thought I shouldn't have to shoot the ground like that before I had bombs. Like with most of the Metroid games I've gone through so far, I am my own worst enemy. Right, time for some healing and a save immediately afterwards. Wish I could feel nervous about what we're going to have to deal with next, but there's no way it's going to be as unpleasant as dealing with the bloody robots. Okay, so we've also got buzzsaws to worry about. Buzzsaws that don't give us much for destroying them, and do a good amount of damage when they reach us. And great, they can also go up and down walls instead of disappearing when they hit a surface. Well, we can't counter them either, apparently. Not the most scary thing we've seen in the game, but they're certainly different from everything else we've run into so far, that's for sure. And we've got even more new threats on top of that. It's actually funny how I kind of appreciate hearing the alarm that we're close to death in this game. Probably because we've had a large number of deaths where I didn't actually take any damage before being taken down. It probably helps that while the noise is noticeable, it's not downright distracting. Okay, whatever that is, we can't activate it just yet. Funny how one kill took us from near death to comfortably alive. It probably also said something that I'm not all that worried about how dark it is around us right now. After all, we can see the terrain, our enemies, and Samus well enough that it's not all that disruptive to our mobility. It's just mildly ominous in a game that already threw something absurdly scary at us pretty early on. Right, so I only just comment on the darkness and we find the light switch immediately afterwards. Again, we've been finding plenty of switches to flip in order to open doors and various other things. But I'd really prefer to be getting some more suit upgrades, since that kind of feels like a more measurable bit of progress, considering all the other Metroid games we've gone through by now. Huh. And just after I started complaining about not having upgrades, we've got a Chozo statue with an upgrade in hand. I gotta start complaining about that sort of thing more often, apparently. Not the Viera suit or Morph Wall like I was hoping, but still. This looks like it'll be nice to have, though I can't help finding it an odd upgrade to include in a game where we have such precise aiming. I'm more used to that kind of beam being useful, when the limited angles we could aim at mean it's tougher to get a more precise shot in. Kind of hoping we'll make it to that question mark soon enough, but I've got the feeling that might not happen until the next clip. Though maybe I'm just being too much of a pessimistic bastard. And of course, having a wider beam doesn't mean it's gonna hurt the more terrible enemies anyway. Right, so the only way to move those objects is a charged up tri-beam shot. Anything less just makes it sound like my microwave's beeper, which made me want to pause the game and check if lunch is ready. And now we're in a completely fresh robot's territory. Excuse me for being less than enthusiastic. We've gone from green to gold. And great. Looks like this one's gimmick is it's faster. I'm sorry, but I thought that red was generally the past color. Unless, of course, you're in the Sonic the Hedgehog universe. Granted, the lightning is generally drawn as yellow, and that's pretty fast. But I'm drawn off as some classic mech anime, plus what Warhammer orcs tend to believe. Oh, god damn it. Wait, I actually managed to counter it again! How? I damn well know that my reflexes are not that good! Oh dear. Please tell me there's a save point nearby. I need to get myself another drink. Thank you.